Unit 4. We came to America. Unit 4. Session A. Activity 12.
Lift, left, sit, set, did, dead, miss, mess, big, beg, chick, check.
1.
Dutch immigrants colonized Pennsylvania.
2.
Tex-Mex, a mixture of Mexican and Texan food, is very popular.
3.
Immigrants from Italy, Switzerland, Ireland, and Latin America entered the U.S.
4.
The Pilgrim Fathers settled in America in the 17th century.
Unit 4. Session A. Activity 15. Thanks a lot for agreeing to talk to me in English. I'm afraid I only know about 2 words of Spanish. Well, I suppose the first thing is a house and a job. Is it important to get a job and accommodation organised before I leave England? I've got a degree in art and design. What other qualifications do you think I might need to get a job in Spain? I don't know anyone in Spain. Is it okay to go without any local contacts? How much money a month do you think I will have to earn to be able to live in Spain? What about the language? Is it essential to know some Spanish before I arrive? What about a visa? I've got an EU passport, so is a visa necessary? Okay. Is there anything else I should know? Unit 4. Session A. Activity 17.
The first mistake a visitor can make is to consider the USA a country. It is larger than Europe, and despite becoming independent over 200 years ago, it can still be seen today as several countries in one. California is rapidly becoming an extension of Mexico, and many areas still keep their early patterns of settlement from Europe, with the Irish in Boston, Swedish and Norwegian in Minnesota, Dutch in Pennsylvania, etc. All government forms require Americans to classify themselves racially as white, Hispanic, black, Native American, or Pacific Islander. 1990 figures estimate that 80% of the population is white, with Native Americans making up just 1%. However, these racial categories can be misleading, because a white or black person born in the USA may not necessarily consider him or herself simply American. Many Americans like to respect the language and traditions of the country their parents or grandparents came from, even if they themselves were born in the US. These people think of themselves as Chinese American, Italian American, Hispanic American, African American, etc. A lot of people from ethnic groups speak English and their own language, although some children of these families born in the USA are fluent only in English. As Spanish is the most widely spoken language next to English, there are several everyday activities which can be done in Spanish. For example, you can ask for a Spanish-speaking driving examiner and take the written part of the driving test in Spanish.
Unit 4. Session B. Activity 14. A.
New York consists of many districts. Some Americans speak 2 languages. You don't need a visa to enter as a tourist.
B.
Life for the early immigrants was very hard. Multicultural cities are more interesting. People go to the United States to look for jobs. You needn't carry identification. You have to go through immigration.
Unit 4, Session B, Activity 17.
Anna, you first came to the United States in the 1930s. How is life different here from what you left behind?
Oh, where do I start? I think the thing that struck me most about New York was the amount of time people have. Everyone rushes everywhere, but really there are so many appliances and tools to help you here that you save a lot of time. When I think back to the housework my mother and I had to do before leaving the house in the morning, not just tidying up and making breakfast. We had to light a fire to heat water, prepare and bake bread for the day, wash clothes by hand and prepare the evening meal. I had to help my little brother and sisters with their schoolwork. I used to get up at 5:30 in the morning to be able to fit it all in. Nowadays I have central heating, a coffee maker, a washing machine, and a toaster, so my mornings are much more relaxed. In Kiev, we had to shop each day because we had nowhere to store the food. I had to help my parents a lot, so I was always rushing to the markets, preparing food, helping my brother and sisters, and doing my schoolwork. Here you can buy what you want at any time of the day or night, 7 days a week. And the supermarkets have everything you want. You don't have to go from shop to shop. Now I have so much more time for myself. I can get up at 8 or 9 o'clock if I want to, though I don't very often. I travel around by car, and my freezer and microwave cut the time spent on cooking by half. I also stay up much later than I would have done at home.
Why is that?
Our home in Kiev didn't have electricity, so we had to use natural light or candles. And I was also exhausted by 8:30 after working so hard.
Do you regret leaving the Ukraine?
My life is much easier here, but I miss the sense of community that people had back home. Families were much closer, and people helped each other much more.
What about professionally? You worked as a doctor here, didn't you?
Yes, that's right. I think there's a lot more flexibility here. People move around and change jobs a lot. But there's also a lot more competition. People are very worried about their performance and having the right skills for the job because technology changes things so quickly. I'm glad I'm retired now.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Anna.
Unit 4, Consolidation, Activity 1. 1.
I just loved seeing all the little shops with funny souvenirs. They even have pagodas on the phone kiosks. There was a Buddhist temple and a museum, but the best thing was the food. Everything was so cheap. We ate Cantonese and Szechuan food and bought sweet pancakes off the stall holders in the street.
2. I was really surprised. Everyone had told me it was a no-go area, but I wanted to see for myself. It was really fascinating to see English and Spanish used in one community, and there's a fabulous museum of Spanish art. Nothing can beat seeing all those beautiful paintings under one roof. 3.
I had heard so much about the New York delis and wanted to see what they were like. So a friend recommended a place famous for its kosher food. I was surprised to see how many of the synagogues were closed, and although I'm not Jewish, I felt a bit sad at how depressed the area looked. The one fascinating thing I did was a wine tour of Shapiro's winery. They've been making kosher wine since 1899. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
4. Well, I couldn't come to New York without seeing Broadway. I didn't know where to start. There were performances of every type. Everything from musicals to top American dramas. The high point for me was seeing my favourite musical performed at the Majestic. 5.
It was amazing. It was almost like being in the country itself. The cafes and restaurants looked so authentic. Lots of ice cream and pasta. I was lucky to be there at the beginning of September because there was an 11-day festival on. But I think it's the men I'll remember most. Oh, they were so good-looking.
Unit 4. Consolidation. Activity 4.
I love living in a multicultural environment. You get contact with people from so many different places. It's like being able to travel around the world in one city. I think it's very good for our kids. They really benefit from being with children of other cultures. At school, they rub shoulders with Chinese, Hispanic, Indian, and East European children. They play together without any problem. They even learn each other's songs and rhymes. My wife is an artist, and she gets a lot of inspiration from the different styles of clothes, colors, and the people's faces. I enjoy chatting to people of different nationalities. You can learn so much. They speak English so well compared with my 10 words of Spanish. And the range of food and drinks available in the restaurants and supermarkets is incredible. You can eat a different style every day.
Unit 4. Self-test. Activity 4.
The poem on the Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor offers a warm welcome to people coming to live in America. But that welcome is only for the people who enter legally. The United States still has a big problem with illegal immigration. Many of these illegal immigrants come from Mexico. The traditional term for them is wetbacks, because at one time the only way to enter the U.S. illegally was to swim across the Rio Grande, and so they arrived literally with wet backs. Nowadays, they will try a variety of techniques to cross the border, hidden in trucks, in the back of cars, and even on foot. If they are caught, they are often just sent back to Mexico, but sometimes they are put into prison or even physically punished by the Border Patrol officers. This doesn't stop the more desperate wetbacks. Some are arrested up to 10 or 15 times, and they still keep trying to get across. They think America will offer them a better life away from the poor conditions in many Mexican cities.
Unit 4. Self-test. Activity 5.
What do you think about wetbacks? Should they be able to enter America as they want? What about Spain? Are there illegal immigrants in Spain? How do they get into the country? What do you think about immigration? Is it good or bad? What should be done about it? Thank you very much. And our next caller is...